I'm what people often call a nice guy. I happily stepped up to take over the goddess everyone dreamed of, but a year later. She started coming home later and later, and the way she looked at me became more and more filled with disdain. I overheard her say to someone, "He's so average. Why should I be expected to stay loyal just for him?" Everyone thought I'd be devastated, but instead, I let out a long sigh of relief. Finally. Honestly, I'd been bored of her for a while. If she didn't speak up, I wouldn't even have had a reason to bring up divorce. But hey, that's what it means to be a nice guy. Always thinking of others first. Chapter 1. At 3 a.m., my club-hopping, party-loving wife Willow finally came home. She'd been traveling with her besties for 2 months straight. Even missed the wedding anniversary I spent days preparing for. Half asleep, I caught a strong whiff of her perfume, bold and aggressive, just like her, but mixed in was a faint trace of men's cigarettes. I opened my eyes and saw a flawless face staring back. Willow climbed into bed and tried to wake me up. She gathered her hair into a bun, exposing her long, elegant neck that gleamed like polished jade. Her curvy, well-toned body exuded sex appeal, eyes half-lidded and seductive, the kind of gaze that could make any man lose control. No wonder she topped every trashy media's most desirable list 5 years running. But when her eyes met mine, she hesitated, her gaze sharpened a bit, and her enthusiasm faded. Still, she didn't stop. She leaned in, lips slightly parted, about to kiss me. I instinctively held back. Who knows what she'd just been up to? I chuckled and said, "Babe." The laugh had a slightly sleazy undertone. I swallowed and added, "You're finally back." I waited so long I fell asleep before I could even shower. That killed her mood instantly. She frowned and got out of bed to remove her makeup. "You're disgusting. You know you can't sleep in bed without showering," she snapped. I let out a sigh of relief and brushed it off with a ridiculous excuse. "I missed you too much." Realistically, someone like Willow, who's had more suitors than she can count, should have seen through my cheap lines. But I'd always acted like I was madly in love with her. I chased her for 3 years, watched countless guys come and go, watched her switch boyfriends like seasons. Yet I never gave up. She once called me the most durable simp she'd ever seen. I drifted back to sleep. Willow headed to the bathroom. Through the cracked door, I heard her on the phone. It was her best friend on the other end. "Willow, you haven't been around for ages. Have you been staying loyal just for George?" Willow snorted. "Please, for a guy that basic, he's not worth it. Honestly, I feel like puking every time he tries to kiss me." Her friend burst out laughing. "Keep it down," Willow scolded. "It's the middle of the night." Just as I was falling back asleep, Willow returned to bed. She placed a small bag on the nightstand. Through sleepy eyes, I saw it held a blue scarf. It looked nice. If I hadn't known she actually knitted 2 of them, and if I hadn't noticed the stitches on this one were a little rougher, I might have even been touched. But no, I wasn't angry. In fact, I felt a strange sense of anticipation. It's been a year since Willow settled down with me, that nice guy. Finally, she couldn't hold it in any longer. Hee hee, me neither. Chapter 2. I'm a nice guy, just your average-looking dude, but I've always liked, and only liked, beautiful women. Call it wishful thinking if you want, but to me, marrying a woman I'm not even remotely attracted to, that's worse than death. So, for that goal, I worked my ass off from a young age, because I knew I had no looks, no family background. A beautiful woman was never going to like me just for who I was. I did decently well in the college entrance exam. But that wasn't enough. Top-tier universities are everywhere now. If you're not in the elite ones, you're treated like garbage. I finished my master's degree, but that still wasn't enough. So I got a PhD, with my honest, nerdy face and my total obedience to my advisor. I graduated with top marks and landed a position at a prestigious research institute. I thought I'd made it, until the moment I first saw Willow. That's when I knew I still had a long way to go. I drank with the bosses, worked overtime after drinking, spent weekends writing research papers for their kids. Finally, at a young age, I made it to deputy division head. I finally had the qualifications to chase someone like Willow. During that time, people tried to set me up with other women. I went, and each date only strengthened my resolve to keep chasing Willow. After every failed blind date, I'd go see Willow, just to cleanse my eyes. One time, at 2 a.m., she got drunk and needed someone to pick her up. I went without hesitation. She looked at me and asked, "You like me that much?" As she said it, her bare shoulder peeked out from her dress, and there was a hickey on her neck. I nodded hard, zero hesitation, because I'm not into unattractive people. I said, "Willow, I love you." The love of beauty is a common human trait. This is how it should be used. I love beautiful women. Willow is beautiful. Therefore, I love Willow. Her features were stunning. Curves in all the right places, slim waist, long legs, the very definition of a bombshell in my mind. People could call my tastes basic or shallow, but their opinions had nothing to do with my concept of beauty. I never believed beauty could be ranked from vulgar to classy. To me, aesthetics can change, but they don't level up. Beauty is a feeling. I might not feel what others feel, but I definitely feel my own feelings. That's what really matters. Willow burst out laughing at my sudden confession. The breeze lifted her dark hair, revealing her long, curled lashes and those stunning fox-like eyes. She looked unreal. I suspected she'd had cosmetic work done, but honestly, I didn't care. Tipsy, dazed, leaning against the window, she pulled a lipstick from her purse, and under the soft yellow light of the car, slowly traced her lips. When she finished, she pouted and said, "George, you're the first person who's made me laugh in days." Yeah, my name's George. Even my name sounds painfully average. That night, she started giving me a little attention, from rejecting all 10 of my invites, to saying yes once or twice when she was in a good mood. Sometimes, she even agreed to a movie. Eventually, we got together. Not because I moved her like in some cheesy romance drama. She was just tired of playing around, and her family was pushing her to get married. I had a PhD, a decent job, and I seemed stable. Her whole family, except her, liked me. I didn't care about the why. All I knew was, I finally married a beautiful woman. When I posted the wedding announcement, I felt invincible. Totally shut up all those people who said I was dreaming. On our wedding day, looking at Willow's face, like a masterpiece sculpted by a god, I was practically glowing. Beneath the veil, the lace hinted at her chest's perfect curves, and even her breathing made my heart race. When the officiant told us to kiss, I realized, damn, hugs could be that fulfilling. If only I could tie her up. Just thinking about it, this nice guy started to feel not so nice anymore. But Willow didn't notice anything. After all, I was still acting like a proper nice guy. Her kiss was cold, skilled, but emotionless. I didn't mind. I could make myself happy just fine. That night, I was ecstatic. My heart felt like a sponge soaking up a spring. I let out a satisfied sigh. The only downside, Willow had zero service mentality, and a bit of a disgusted look the whole time. To her, I was probably just good enough. Outside, streetlights stood like man-made stars, making up for the starless sky we lost. I looked at Willow's sleeping face and couldn't help but smile. Those seductive brows, elegant nose, and luscious lips. Goddamn, she was gorgeous, hotter than any celebrity. Her only flaw, she didn't love me, but hey, who's perfect? As long as she didn't ruin her face, I'd still love her. That's the kind of loyalty we nice guys have for love. Chapter 3. Whether what I felt for Willow was love, true love, really just depends on how you define love. According to my basic understanding of Freud and Schopenhauer, love is just a form of desire, a natural instinct. There's no need to romanticize it, and no need to shame it either. So whether it's Quasimodo or Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, both of them loved Esmeralda. Their morality, their actions, don't change that fact. Love is a type of desire, not something to be judged by how ethically it's expressed, and it certainly has nothing to do with why that desire exists. Once love is born, the cause behind it doesn't change its nature. So yeah, I'll openly admit, back then, I fell in love with Willow because she was drop-dead gorgeous, and because I wanted her. Simple as that. And now, that desire has been fulfilled. The next day, when I woke up, Willow was still asleep. Her phone lit up with a bunch of messages, all from a guy. I didn't check the content, but worried she wouldn't be able to reply as soon as she woke up. I plugged in her phone for her. It was about to die. I was just about to get out of bed, when she suddenly grabbed my arm. Eyes closed, she murmured, "It's still early, we could go another round." Her voice was husky with sleep, seductive in the most sinful way. If it had been a year ago, I'd have jumped her in a heartbeat. But now, I said hesitantly, "Babe, I've got an important meeting with upper management today. Can't be late." Willow didn't look too happy. Before leaving, I even told her, "Sweetheart, I'll be on a business trip for 3 days. Take care of yourself, okay?" Just in case she didn't hear me, I texted her the same thing. Still, I wasn't at ease. I remembered she'd set my messages to do not disturb, so I messaged her best friend instead. "Hey, I'll be on a trip for 3 days. Could you help keep an eye on Willow? Thanks." I arrived at work on time. That evening, I stayed a little late to finish some paperwork. My boss even came over, concerned. "George, the trip's been postponed. No need to rush those documents, just head home and rest." I smiled and replied, "I'll leave after I wrap this up." But truthfully, I didn't clock out until 10:30 p.m. At 10:50 p.m., I opened the home security app on my phone. There it was, a man knocking on my door. Willow opened it in nothing but a nightgown. The guy held up a bottle of liquor, and Willow gave him a coy little smile. before stepping aside to let him in. My foot almost floored the gas, but I told myself, stay calm. Don't crash the car over something like this. Not worth it. 11 p.m. I pulled up in front of the house. My hand trembled as I entered the passcode. I got it wrong the first time. When the door opened, the place was a mess. Willow's nightgown, torn pantyhose, things I wish I hadn't seen, even for a nice guy like me. This was a lot to process, but man, Willow really wasn't picky. They moved faster than I expected, because just as I stepped in, the bedroom door flew open. The guy stumbled out, shirtless, and whined toward the room. Willow, don't be like this. I was just nervous. Give me another shot. I literally flew here for you. She responded by throwing a shoe at him. Willow snapped. Looks good, but useless. Get lost. She rolled her eyes and strutted out. The guy forced a smile. Come on, Willow, don't be mad. That one's on me. How about I take you to that new club tonight? We can try something wild, totally thrilling. Willow gave him a bored glance. She was just about to reply. When she looked up and saw me, the guy noticed too. He immediately shut up. The room went dead silent. Chapter 4. Before the man left, he said, I just sent you the address. Hurry up. Willow slammed the door in his face. She turned to me and asked casually, You're back early. Did you eat? Want me to cook something for you? She acted completely normal. Not a trace of guilt, though she was talking a lot more than usual. I didn't respond, not a word. Willow pouted and went to remove her makeup. Her makeup was heavy, dramatic, and suddenly, I remembered. She once really liked a certain ex. That guy told her he hated kissing someone who felt like a layer of foundation. Said he didn't like women who wore too much makeup. So she listened, switched to a more natural look, even changed her wardrobe to seem more innocent and sweet. But with me, I once bought her a dress, just one dress. She lost her mind, refused to wear it, then shredded it into pieces and screamed that she would never change herself for anyone. Too bad that ex eventually moved abroad. They broke up peacefully, long distance and all. If they hadn't split, I probably wouldn't even be in the picture. But like I've said, I got with her for her looks, and since she was spending my money, I didn't care whether she liked it or not. I just kept buying the clothes I liked. After removing her makeup, Willow leaned in, wrapped her arms around my neck, stood on tiptoes, and tried to kiss me, but I saw the disgust flash across her face. I frowned and pushed her away. Her face dropped immediately. She'd probably never been rejected before, especially not by someone as average-looking as me. I asked her, Who was that guy just now? She scoffed. What do you think? There was a flicker of contempt in her eyes. She said, George, have you forgotten? You were the one who chased me. You begged to be with me. It's not like this is new to you. You accepted it back then. Now you're changing your mind. I closed my eyes, let out a bitter laugh, and spoke hoarsely. I accepted that the woman I liked had been in past relationships, that she'd loved others before me, and moved on, but I never said I was okay with my wife cheating on me. Finally, a tear fell. Willow flinched. There was a flicker of hesitation, but after a moment, she bit her lip and said, So what? If you can't accept it, then let's just get a divorce. She said it so lightly, like it meant nothing, just like she used to break up with her exes. One wrong move and she'd dump them without a second thought. She thought I'd never let her go, that I'd beg her to stay, maybe even break down, and honestly, once upon a time, I might have done exactly that. The streetlight outside seemed broken. It kept flickering like a fake star in a fake sky, but around 4 or 5 a.m., they suddenly go dark. Everything turns cold and real, worse than Cinderella's midnight spell. At least she was a genuinely kind-hearted beauty, I said. Okay. Willow looked stunned. Before she could react, I continued, All right, Willow, let's get divorced. Her face instantly twisted. She flushed bright red and snapped. Wow, George, you've really grown a pair. Huh? Just don't come crawling back like a lapdog, begging me to take you back. She grabbed her phone and left. Speaker on. Send me the address again. I'm coming over now. The music from the club blasted through the speaker, along with that guy's voice. Hurry up, babe. I got a themed suite tonight, loaded with gear. Willow didn't look back. The door slammed shut again, right in my face. The wedding photo on the wall trembled from the impact. In the picture, an average-looking groom and a stunning bride, smiling sweetly arm in arm. The groom gazes lovingly at her. The bride stares at the camera, calm, and slightly annoyed. They never looked like a match, and now, it was finally over. I let out a deep breath, completely relaxed for the first time. Actually, there's one more thing I lied to Willow about. I didn't say I was going on a 3-day business trip. It's a 3-year one. Chapter 5. Outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, I waited for Willow from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. She never showed up. I thought she'd storm in with that guy after getting my text, ready to divorce me on the spot. Ended up wasting a personal day for nothing. Whatever. 2 years of separation is enough to file for divorce anyway. In fact, staying married with the illusion of a happy family helps with my work evaluations and promotions. I didn't try to reach out to Willow again, but I did post a few emo moments on my private feed, visible only to her and her besties. The day before I left, I got a message from one of Willow's girlfriends. She wrote, "Georgina, you and Willow are from different worlds." I couldn't even bother correcting her for getting my name wrong. Then she sent a video. In it, Willow was holding a wine glass with one hand, giving sultry looks to the men in front of her. Red wine trickled down her neck and slipped into her blouse, leaving a trail that stirred the imagination. Clearly, the person filming wanted to show me how Willow was acting all seductive and flirty. But then someone in the background suddenly shouted, "Makoto came back last week." Willow didn't react outwardly, but I knew her well. Her fingers tightened slightly around the glass. No wonder. Willow had said she was going on a 3-month trip with her friends but came back early, not to celebrate our missed anniversary, but because she didn't want to miss Makoto. Makoto Ito. What a name. Sounds like a male lead from some romance novel. He was Willow's ex, the one who went abroad, the one she once thought she'd marry, the only man she ever truly considered giving her whole heart to. The video was poorly shot. Makoto didn't even show up until the last 30 seconds. A charismatic man appeared at the door of the private room, walking straight toward Willow amid whistles and cheers. Then the video cut off. I hesitated, then decided to go. Outside the club, I got there just in time to see Willow come out. She leaned against a car, long legs crossed, her slightly wavy hair fluttered in the night breeze, brushing across her collarbone. Every movement was effortlessly seductive. Her stunning looks turned heads from every passerby, but she didn't see any of them until Makoto appeared. He forced a sheepish, flattering smile and tried to act casual. "Willow, really? Not even gonna say hi to me?" Willow ignored him, but as he approached, she instinctively adjusted her posture and smoothed her dress. Makoto asked, "Heard you got married to that guy who's been simping for you for years?" Willow scoffed. "What's it got to do with you?" Makoto wasn't put off by her attitude. He pressed, "Do you like him?" Willow rolled her eyes and didn't answer. Then silence fell. Makoto gazed at her, eyes tracing her face, her features, and Willow just let him. Time dragged on, thick and heavy. Finally, Makoto turned to leave. Before he did, he said, "I've never been the kind of guy to regret things, but I can't help wondering if I hadn't left back then. Anyway, congrats on the wedding." His words were drowned by the noise of passing traffic, but I knew Willow heard every word. Then suddenly, Willow said, "I never loved him." I ended the recording. At first, I wanted some leverage to pressure Willow into a quicker divorce. Now it's clear, I was just fooling myself. Willow didn't skip the appointment at the Civil Affairs Bureau because she didn't want a divorce. She simply never saw my messages, too busy out partying. The night wind carried the scent of Willow past the corner of my eyes, now unknowingly moist. 3 years chasing her, 1 year of finally getting what I wanted. I used to think I'd spend my whole life with Willow. I figured that once we got old, our looks would even out, and no one would say we didn't match anymore. We did have some warm moments this past year, like eating together, watching shows together. Well, that's about it. To say I never had feelings for her would be a lie. Us nice guys, we're always the ones who get hurt. Luckily, the feelings weren't too deep. Hands in my pockets, I walked away with a spring in my step, leaving behind the couple who, after a long separation, couldn't help but kiss like no time had passed. That night, I left the divorce papers behind and boarded my flight. Chapter 6. Willow hadn't been home for a month since the night George brought up divorce. During that time, she either stayed with her girlfriends, at nightclubs, or sometimes at. Makoto stood next to Willow, sensing her gaze. He turned his head slightly and smiled. He was wearing a scarf around his neck. Funny thing, she had stayed up many nights to knit that scarf. The day she heard Makoto was coming back, she was out shopping, thinking about what to get George for their anniversary. She hadn't planned on buying anything at first. After all, she was always the one receiving gifts. Maybe back in her first relationship, she'd still return the gesture, responding sincerely to every bit of affection. But as she dated more, she gradually realized that those guys didn't really care if she gave back or not. As long as she accepted their gift, it already felt like they'd received the ultimate blessing. So eventually, she stopped returning gifts. She didn't even bother saying thank you anymore. But a wedding anniversary, that was a first. She had been traveling with friends when George sent her a message. "Happy anniversary, honey. I'll be waiting for you when you get back." Attached was a photo of an elegant jewelry box. To Willow, it felt old-fashioned, yet strangely new. So when she happened to see a post on how to knit a scarf, she walked into a yarn shop on impulse. She didn't know why, But while choosing the materials, her mind wandered to Makoto. Makoto was in the same field, also a model. He was tall, poised, and carried himself with a kind of restrained grace, a true Prince Charming in the eyes of most women. And yet, even Willow hadn't expected she'd end up not marrying her Prince Charming, but acting out her own version of Beauty and the Beast. The thought made the corners of her mouth curl up, and as if fate were playing a joke on her, that's when she got the call. Her bestie told her, Makoto's coming back, and he was still single. Her friends kept chattering away on the phone, but Willow was focused on picking a color. The store clerk said, "Blue's a great color for a boyfriend's scarf." She shook her head and replied, "I'll take black." George wasn't Makoto. He was low-key, preferred black, and always tried to blend into the crowd. So yes, this scarf was for George, an anniversary gift. Her friend overheard and teased, "Willow, don't tell me you're knitting a scarf for Makoto." Willow replied, as if, like she'd ever give a gift to the men who dumped her. She wasn't that pathetic, but now, the black scarf she had painstakingly knitted for George was wrapped around Makoto's neck. Makoto didn't even need to ask for anything, and she was already willing to give up all her boundaries for him. Their souls were in sync, and their bodies even more so. Willow's phone suddenly buzzed. George's name flashed through her mind. Unlocking the screen, she remembered she'd muted George's messages long ago. So, this message wasn't from him. Just then, she sneezed. Makoto gently unwrapped the scarf from his neck and placed it around her. He said, "It's already spring. How is it still this cold? Here, Willow, wear this. Don't catch a cold." But Willow thought of another scarf, the one she originally didn't plan to give anyone. Then thought maybe she could give to Makoto, but later decided wasn't worthy of him after all. A blue scarf. Started on a whim. She said, "Wait a sec, Makoto. I actually knitted another one for you. I'll go get it." She grabbed her car keys and stood up. Her friends began teasing again. Ugh, this single dog is dying of jealousy. First time seeing Willow be so thoughtful. Makoto looked smug. Willow had countless admirers, but the one she really liked was him, Makoto. Of course, Makoto had no shortage of women in his life either, but Willow was still the brightest of them all. Makoto thought she was just heading to the car. What he didn't know was, she was going home. The night wind roared in her ears. For some reason, her heart felt uneasy. When she arrived at the apartment, she glanced at the time. George should already be asleep by now. Still, as if she needed to prove she was still mad. She slammed the door shut behind her, no tiptoeing. She didn't even change her shoes, just clicked across the floor in heels and stormed into the bedroom. "Where's that scarf I made for you? Give it back." Silence. No one answered. Willow turned on the light. Of course, the bed was empty. On the nightstand, there was a bag. Inside it, the blue scarf. And on the living room table lay the divorce papers. Chapter 7. Crossing thousands of kilometers, the distance between north and south felt like going abroad. It took me a whole month to adjust to the humid southern climate, to the point where the sticky feeling no longer messed with my mood. The girl across from me said, "Handsome, don't think I'm high maintenance, I can give you emotional value." The girl speaking with a deliberately soft voice was someone I matched with on a dating app. She was quite pretty, but I honestly had nothing to talk about with her. I used the excuse of an alarm and left. In this unfamiliar city, I used dating apps without restraint, unafraid of bumping into anyone I knew. I met one woman a week, just to pass the time. The best way to break the illusion of beauty is to get close to beautiful women. Although I'm no longer obsessed with looks like I once was, choosing a pretty face when everything else is uncertain is never really a mistake. 2 months into my panning for gold in the mud plan, I actually found a nugget. She was 15 minutes late. She wore a tailored French-style waist dress, her long hair gathered in a low bun, each strand sleek and well-kept, but maybe because she had rushed over. A few strands had come loose, making her look slightly less formal. Her features were delicate and soft, arched brows, almond-shaped eyes, lips neither too thin nor too full, and the corners of her mouth naturally curved as if smiling. Not as striking as Willow, but undeniably pleasant to look at. Unlike other women who acted like going on a date with them was some kind of huge favor, and who thought being late was their birthright, she simply lowered her eyes and sincerely said, "Sorry I'm late." After just one meal, I was already second-guessing myself. Not only was she from a much wealthier background than Willow, she was far above me as well. Willow works as a model, not a big earner but with high expenses, and everything she thinks is written on her face. But this woman in front of me, I couldn't read her at all. Our whole conversation was smooth and comfortable, which meant she and I weren't in the same league. She was downward compatible. Logically, I knew someone like this wasn't right for killing time, but emotionally, I didn't really want to let her go, especially when I went to pay the bill and found she had already taken care of it. In the past, forget about them paying. I rarely even saw someone willing to split the check. Yet she, almost as if reading my mind, said, "You can get the next one." For a moment, I caught the faint sweetness of her perfume. Before I knew it, I said, "Miss Sue, would you like to grab a drink with me?" Anna looked a little surprised. Then she smiled and said, "That's not what you said when you asked me out." "I didn't push," I said. "All right then, forget it." Just as I finished speaking, Anna said, "I don't like going to bars." Did that mean she'd rather go to my place? Southern nights are especially beautiful. The streetlights shimmered, bright and full of life. I nodded immediately. "All right, we're both adults. No need to be coy." 30 minutes later, Anna and I were clinking bottles by the roadside. I was speechless. Right, there's more to the world than just bars and my apartment. One bottle in, we were talking about Kant and Hume, about values and worldviews. 2 bottles in, I told her I was married to an insanely beautiful woman, my teenage dream come true. She curled her lips slightly but didn't leave. 3 bottles in, I told her the relationship had already fallen apart. We were separated and getting a divorce, so I wasn't really cheating. Anna seemed to chuckle. She said, "Even if you were cheating, I wouldn't mind. When someone's actions don't hurt anyone, they're not really immoral." I laughed. "That's pretty libertarian of you." 4 bottles in, we talked about marriage, from feudal times to now. 8 bottles in, blushing, I asked her, "Answer me. Are you a 36D? Answer me. Look in my eyes. Answer me." Chapter 8. I woke up in my own place. Anna had somehow managed to drag my drunk self all the way home, haul me onto the bed, even tidied up my messy apartment a bit, and then left without making a sound. Thinking back on the events of last night, I felt a bit regretful. Looked like, for the sake of saving face, I'd have to let go of this gold nugget. Maybe we just weren't meant to be. That thought stuck with me until Monday, when I walked into the conference room and saw the new manager. Anna was dressed in an off-white trench coat, looking elegant and confident. She smiled and greeted the room. "I look forward to working with you all. No wonder we hit it off." So we were feeding from the same trough. A well-informed colleague leaned over and whispered in my ear, "Word is, she's got some powerful connections upstairs. That kind of gossip, tasteless and hollow." I gave a half-hearted response. The guy got all fired up and said, "Just wait, I'll dig deeper and report back." He spent the whole morning snooping around and came back with a few scraps. She graduated from the University of Bristol in the UK. She's from up north, same region as you. Her parents both work in the public sector. Yeah, I could have just read her HR file and learned all that. The guy frowned. "Don't give me that look. Just wait, I'll keep going." His next round of snooping led to Anna cornering me by the break room. "I heard you've been asking about me," she said. I almost spilled my coffee all over the table. She continued, "If you want to know something, you can just ask me directly." I let out an awkward laugh. No, it's not like that." Anna was quick with the banter. "If you're too shy, you could always take me out to dinner." My first instinct was to brush it off and say no. Then I remembered, she outranked me by half a level. What if she made life difficult for me? So, I agreed. Right before the end of the workday, my colleague leaned in close. With that "come on, ask me" look written all over his face. With a sigh, I asked, "So what? Did you find out if Anna P's sitting down or standing up?" He frowned. "Don't disrespect me like that. I found out she transferred here with her fiancé." Oh well, not really breaking news. With someone that beautiful and with that kind of background, how could she possibly still be single? "Hey, where are you going?" I wasn't finished. Chapter 9. Right before heading out, I got a call from Willow. Seeing "wife" on the screen, I paused. Willow had almost never called me before. Even when I was out late at social events until 10, she never once phoned to check in. I declined the call, then messaged her on WeChat. "I'm heading out. If it's something important, you can text me." By the time I got in the car, there was still no reply. I hesitated, then sent another message. "Is there anything you're unhappy about in the divorce agreement?" The message came back with a red exclamation mark. She had deleted me. On reflex, I tapped into her moments. Her WeChat posts were visible even to people not on her friend list. The most recent one was a screenshot of a post from Makoto. Makoto had written, "You are my invincible summer." The photo was from years ago. A summer night by the beach. 2 shadows. The one with long hair was twirling in motion, the tall one holding her by the waist, as if afraid she'd fall. Willow had reposted it with the caption, "No matter how hot the summer gets, I'll stay by your side." Clearly, she wasn't as well read as Makoto. She probably didn't realize that line was adapted from Camus' wedding notebook. Makoto was about to propose to her. I scrolled down. Her last post before this was 2 years ago. A photo at the airport, tagged with a location, and the simple caption, "Arrived." Even without seeing the comments, I could imagine how many replies she got. The location was in the same country, but another city, where Makoto lived. In short, her WeChat feed had never had anything to do with me, not even our wedding. After dinner with Anna, just as we were about to part, She suddenly asked, "How about a drink?" I was about to refuse when she smiled again. "You look like you want a drink tonight." And, well, so do I. She was sharp, like that stray ginger tabby cat that used to linger downstairs at my old apartment. If I avoided eye contact, it knew I didn't want to pet it. If I slowed my pace, it would come nudge me, and when I was heading home, it would pretend to be tired and say goodbye. Sadly, one day, it disappeared. After a few drinks, my emotions cracked wide open. I slammed the table and ranted. "You women always say men should work hard, should treat women well. Then tell me, was it not hard work for me to become a deputy director at such a young age? Answer me. You think it's easy to get to that level? Tell me, look in my eyes, tell me, why, baby, why? Is it just because I look average that I don't deserve love? Even when I try hard, I still get cheated on. So being good to women guarantees I won't get cheated on. Oh sure, yeah, right." Anna took the glass from my hand, smiling as she said, "Have you ever thought that maybe the kind of love you're chasing puts too much weight on looks and money? You're just choosing the wrong type of person, that's all. There are people out there who care more about what's inside." I cut her off, nodding. "I've known that for a long time, but why do people keep reminding me of it over and over? I know I'm average looking, that I have to make up for it with money. I've accepted that a long time ago. Honestly, I'm not ugly, just normal, plain. But when someone keeps showing up and telling you again and again that you're average, and that no matter how hard you try, you're still not good enough, it grates on you. That's what Willow is doing now. She keeps rubbing it in, making sure I know she despises me, that I'll never be enough for her." Anna gave me a helpless smile. "If you already know, why are you so mad?" She poured me a glass of water. "Right, this time, we were drinking at my place." I chuckled softly, couldn't let the opportunity go to waste. As I lay in bed, Anna said, "If you want, you don't have to try so hard. Who says a man has to work himself to the bone just to provide for a woman?" She paused and added, "I'm not someone who cares much about looks or material things." Just as she got up to leave, I suddenly said, "Why don't you stay tonight?" I saw Anna freeze mid-step. I quickly added, "It's late, not safe to head out now. I have a guest room." I really didn't want anything to happen between us, not with someone who had a fiancé. I was afraid the guy might show up at my workplace and beat the crap out of me. Men don't get off easy with these things. One scandal, and your whole career is toast. The next morning, the guest room bed was neatly made. No signs anyone had slept in it. The apartment was empty, just me. As I was wondering what kind of breakfast delivery to order, the doorbell rang. It was Anna, wearing a sports tank top, holding a thermal container. She tilted her head, smiled warmly, and said, "You drank too much last night. I made some millet porridge. Figured I'd drop it off after my morning run. How can someone be this kind? Good thing I'm a once burned, cautious nice guy now, not the type to fall for love again, nor foolish enough to think she'd ever truly be into me." As I walked Anna out, in the distance, I saw a familiar figure standing by the flower bed. Chapter 10. Willow's eyes landed on Anna. Sweat had dampened the strands of hair at Anna's forehead, clinging softly to the sides of her face, like she had just stepped out of the shower. Willow's brows furrowed tightly. Anna blinked and tilted her head toward me. "Do you need me to explain things to her?" She said it casually, but she was standing very close to me. I caught a whiff of sweat, but it was different. Her sweat mixed with her natural scent, alluring in a way I couldn't ignore. I shook my head. "No need." And then it hit me. How did she know Willow was my wife? There was no way a stranger could have guessed that. Willow said, enunciating each word, "George, am I dead to you?" Her expression was full of rage, eyes blazing like she wanted to devour me whole. Women like her, always so self-righteous, even when they're the ones who messed up, they can only ever see the other person's mistakes. I told Anna to go. I'd handle it. She confirmed a few times before finally leaving. Willow glared at me, fuming. "So you didn't answer my call because you were with her?" I was speechless. "So, she came all the way here just because I didn't pick up the phone yesterday?" I said. "She's just a colleague. Don't overthink it." Willow clearly didn't buy it. Her face flushed red as she shot back. "You think I'm an idiot? A colleague walks out of your place early in the morning." I offered a simple explanation. "Look at her, she's gorgeous. Why would she ever go for someone like me?" A very solid argument. "Finally," I said calmly, with a trace of helplessness, "if you insist on thinking that way, there's nothing I can do." Willow froze for a second. She grabbed my arm, her breath shaky. I sighed. "Besides, I've never once confronted you about you and Makoto." Her expression stayed dark, but something must have clicked. Her brows relaxed ever so slightly. "George," she said, "you don't have to get back at me like this. Those women who are willing to be with you, it's just because you have money." I was speechless. I mean, wasn't I with her for her looks? She went on, "If you really mind Makoto, I can delete those posts. He won't come to the house anymore. And in that moment, I understood what she really meant. She was saying, I can't break things off with Makoto, but all the property will be yours. And the money you spent on me, I can have Makoto pay you back. I suddenly laughed. I looked at her, that stunning, striking face I had chased after for hundreds, maybe thousands of days and nights. Even after I'd already decided to let her go, I couldn't help but still be shaken by her beauty. But now, I was done. I was over this shallow, one-sided love. Even the best ice cream cone, if you eat it every day for 1,000 days, will become sickening. Not to mention this ice cream cone is mediocre at best, and it's already been licked by a bunch of dogs. Now it's sneaking out again to get licked by someone else behind my back. The thought of spending the rest of my life with this cone fills me with despair. I gritted my teeth. Willow, do you take me for some kind of idiot? All these years, I've never done you wrong. I worked and earned money for you. You barely had to lift a finger. 4 or 5 months a year, you were off traveling. When you left, I packed your luggage. When you spent, I paid the bills. You didn't have time to deal with your relatives or social obligations. I handled them all. When your dad was hospitalized, you were off vacationing abroad, and I was the one pulling strings to arrange his surgery. I'm not interested in playing the third wheel in your love story with Makoto. And as for money, fair trade, even exchange, let's just end this. Willow, I paused and asked, or are you the one who's not ready to let go? A nice guy's reason for divorce always comes after being hurt. Willow looked stunned. She opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. I understood. If I were her, I wouldn't want to divorce me either. Not because she still loved me, but because guys like me, young, accomplished, self-conscious but still dignified, are a rare breed these days. A well-behaved ATM who doubles as a doormat, prime pick for a lifetime of manipulation. I quietly watched her. I wasn't in a rush, because whatever her answer was, it wouldn't change my decision. At last, she said, George, you really think too much of yourself. You actually believe I'd miss you. I'll have my lawyer send over the divorce papers. She turned and walked away like I was some pest clinging to her ankles. I shrugged. Fine by me. Whatever she says, as long as we get divorced. Chapter 11. Nothing really progressed between Anna and me. I deliberately kept my distance. Whenever she messaged me, I replied politely, with just the right amount of courtesy and distance. She's smart. I'm sure she got the message. I went on a date with someone new. She was very young, looked sweet, and studied dance. I asked her, why did she want to meet someone like me? She was direct. She said, I just want to meet people from different fields and ages. I liked that answer. It felt pressure-free. A one-time date. In the end, I paid the bill. She wanted to add me on social media. I declined. As I walked out of the restaurant, I got a call from my mom. Before I could say a single word, she launched into a furious tirade. She yelled, You're divorcing Willow. She's a local in Beijing. Do you have any idea how many years of struggle you saved by marrying a local when you're from out of town? I swear, you've read yourself into stupidity. Listening to her proud, scolding voice through the phone, I felt a bit dazed. The last time she had scolded me so righteously, I was probably still in elementary school. That was when I said I wanted to adopt the stray cat downstairs. She locked me out of the house and said, there can only be one kept being in this house, either it or you. When my dad got home, she couldn't wait to exaggerate the story and complain. My dad said she was making a mountain out of a molehill. He calmed her down and let me back in. It reminded me of something I'd read recently, some so-called scholarly book quoted by people online. It claimed that most East Asian mothers are subconsciously misogynistic, that they suppress and control their daughters because of the absence of the father figure, and that daughters are often forced to fulfill the emotional role of a husband. Supposedly, this stems from their ideological upbringing and the social environment, where these women are emotionally dependent on men, yet men are always disappearing, either physically or emotionally. Some even argued that policies like mandatory divorce cooling-off periods and the social resistance to expensive bride prices were reflections of this underlying misogyny. I'm not here to debate whether these books are legit or not, but does the emotional suppression I received from my mom mean she actually hates men? And what does it even mean to say a daughter assumes the role of a husband? Isn't assigning roles like that already a stereotype? If you flip the situation and the kid is a son, wouldn't he be forced to take on the same role too? At most, it's just an elder asserting control, trying to maintain their own sense of value and authority by putting down the younger generation. But here's the thing, I'm not going to change my decision just because of someone else's value system, and I'm definitely not going to waste my whole future being a spineless pushover for some cheating pretender. On the other end of the line, my dad chimed in with his usual peacekeeping tone. Don't be angry, he's just acting on impulse. You know what he's like, always been smart, typical. My dad, always trying to smooth things over. Limited life experience but always eager to play mediator. Thinks every problem can be solved if everyone just takes one step back, and suddenly it's no big deal. Yet every time there was a real issue and he couldn't solve it, I was the one who had to step up, and if I failed, I lacked wisdom. If I succeeded, I was too aggressive, lacked vision. But when it was his turn to solve something, he'd just avoid it and pretend everything was fine. I pinched the bridge of my nose and said, "Willow cheated." My dad went silent. Then my mom's voice came through, "Maybe it's just a misunderstanding. Willow doesn't seem like that kind of person." I added, "It wasn't just once." My mom kept going, "Still, divorce is too impulsive." But my dad cut her off. He asked, "Do you want me to come be with you?" The night breeze carried a touch of spring warmth. I smiled and said, "No need, Dad, I've got it. You know me, I've always been the smart one." Chapter 12. I tried reaching out to Willow. We had agreed on the divorce papers, but now she wouldn't give them to me, and instead went crying to my parents. At some point, she added me back on WeChat, but the messages I sent her vanished into the void. She didn't reply. She didn't even pick up when I called. Instead, it was Willow's mother who contacted me, of course, to talk me out of the divorce. She said, "It's all Willow's fault. I've already scolded her. From now on, all the assets will be under your name. Her spending will be completely limited. This will never happen again." I sent her the video. After watching it, she said, "Willow was just..." I cut her off, voice heavy with emotion. "Auntie, I really love Willow. I still can't bear to let her go. But after everything she's done to me, what choice do I have?" There was a noticeable pause when she heard me call her auntie. Before she could speak, I shifted the tone and added, "Willow's a model. After all, she lives off her image. I don't want to make this ugly. Please let her know. If she still refuses to respond, I won't hesitate to put that video online." On the other end, I heard something crash. Willow must have been there too. I hung up. That very day, I received the divorce agreement. I took time off work and went to file the divorce at the Civil Affairs Bureau. In front of the building, I waited for 30 minutes before Willow finally showed up, with Makoto. Just as Makoto was about to get out of the car, he saw my dad glaring at him. Yep, my dad came after all. He had the neighbor's kid help him book a flight behind my back and came here on his own. Makoto froze mid-step. He was afraid this peasant migrant worker from out of town would beat him to a pulp. My dad didn't get his hands on Makoto, so he turned and started cursing at Willow instead. Willow tried calling him Dad. My father snapped, "Don't call me Dad. The Wong family doesn't have a daughter-in-law like you." Willow realized that playing nice wasn't working. When my dad's scolding only got worse, she snapped and yelled back, "I only married your son because he begged and wouldn't let go." That's just how Willow is. Even when she's clearly in the wrong, she'll never admit it. I held my father back. He was getting louder and louder. I didn't want to hear them argue. I had pulled strings to get this divorce appointment. It was hard to get, and I wasn't about to waste it. After that, everything went smoothly. The clerk told us to come back in a month to pick up the official divorce certificate. Willow's gaze lingered on my pale and haggard face for a long time, until my dad dragged me away and Makoto, face dark as thunder, called her name. Then they disappeared. I figured Makoto had come along for a little public display of affection, but my dad ruined their moment. Once they left, I left too, with my dad. Since he'd come all this way, I decided to take him around town, so I took another day off. My boss looked troubled when I asked. There was a new project, and I was requesting extra leave at the last minute. I was about to give up, but half an hour later, my leave got approved. It was Anna. She had taken on the work. After sending my dad off and returning to the office, I messaged Anna to thank her. She replied with just, "No problem." That tiny sentence. I stared at it for 10 minutes. It tickled something in my chest, light as a feather, but impossible to ignore. That woman, so restrained. I took the necklace I had originally bought for Willow and stuffed it into a gift bag. Feeling a little guilty, I added a bracelet too. After a whole month, I asked Anna out for a drink again. She didn't reply. I wasn't disappointed. We're adults. Aside from money, nothing in life is truly non-negotiable. Half an hour later, she messaged back. "This time, I'll pick the place." I replied, "Okay." And then, my doorbell rang. Chapter 13. I got a call from one of Willow's friends just as Anna and I had finally opened up to each other and made things official. Anna told me she rarely developed feelings for anyone, but that she had noticed something different about me years ago. I did the math on the time she mentioned. Back then, I was about to finish my PhD, running around like a lackey for my advisor, desperately trying to land a decent job. At the dinner table, I was the butt of jokes, taking it all with a straight face. I poured drinks for the big shots, bowed and scraped. I gave speech after speech full of empty flattery, drank glass after glass. The ritualistic drinking culture born out of modern civilization. How could someone like me hope to change it? After the banquet, I arranged cars for each of the senior guests. Anna had come along with a powerful relative, so she hadn't been forced to drink or needed my help. She saw me throwing up by the roadside. After I was done, I cursed everyone in my dialect. When I turned around, there she was. It was awkward, but I assumed she didn't understand my dialect. That relaxed me a bit. I forced a fawning smile and said, "Miss Sue, you're still here?" Truth was, Anna had understood everything. She understood the filth in my curses, and the painfully melodramatic things I said afterward. And then she smiled and said she was looking at the stars. I glanced up. All I saw were streetlights. I thought she might have gone blind. But if a princess says it's stars, then stars it is, Anna said. The way I looked at her back then made her think I saw her as an idiot. But my words were full of polite flattery. Later, she saw me a few more times. Sometimes I had already gotten what I wanted. Sometimes, I was still fighting for it. The expression on my face was always mild and honest, but the ambition in my eyes was hard to hide. She hadn't gotten the chance to reach out to me before she heard from someone else that I was chasing after Willow. When she finished her story, I stared at her in surprise. "You liked me all the way back then?" She pouted. "You really couldn't tell. You were just avoiding responsibility, so you deliberately kept your distance." "Fair enough." I scratched my nose, feeling a little guilty, and asked, "What about your fiancé?" She blinked, then handed me her phone. "I don't know where you heard that nonsense. If I have a fiancé, you can find him in here." I scrolled through her phone, didn't really look at her WeChat. Mostly went through the photo gallery, just in case there were any private photos. Then I decided, it might be time for a deeper conversation. Anna said, "I haven't been in a relationship for years, so please take care of me, Mr. Wong. And don't get the wrong idea, it's not that I was avoiding it because of you. I just hadn't met anyone else who made me feel the way you do." Before she could finish, I pinned her against the wall and kissed her. It was the first time I saw her flustered, her ears turned crimson, a poised, elegant woman blushing, way more intoxicating than a shy schoolgirl. Oh, and she was still wearing the necklace I gave her. The next day, I returned the call from Willow's friend. She said, "George, Willow's leg is broken. She's in the hospital." For once, she called me by my real name, and she sounded cautious. Not that it mattered, because I never bothered remembering her name anyway. I said, "You should call Makoto. Willow and I live in different worlds now." There was a pause on the other end. Then she told me, Willow's leg had been broken by Makoto's loan sharks. Makoto wanted to marry Willow, but they were deep in debt. In their social circles, it's normal to live beyond your means just to keep up appearances. Luxury spending and maxed out credit are par for the course. Makoto, as a male model, should have been clinging to some rich woman, but for Willow's sake, he broke things off with his sugar mama. And Willow, she had lost me, the human ATM. So together, they spiraled, borrowing more and more just to survive. When they couldn't pay it back, the debt collectors told them to film certain videos for quick money. That's when Willow finally drew the line. Makoto walked away, back to his rich woman. Willow, left with a broken leg, lost multiple modeling jobs. The breach of contract penalties crushed her even more. Willow and her friends probably didn't expect me to actually show up. When I walked into the hospital room, Willow's expression was a mess, somewhere between awkward and delighted. Her friends quickly made excuses and left. Willow's voice was dry when she asked, "How have you been lately?" I set the fruit basket down on the chair and nodded. "Pretty good." Willow bit her lip and murmured, almost pitifully, "I'm not doing so well. Why didn't you come back? Didn't you say you were only on a 3-day trip? Why did you lie to me?" Her eyes brimmed with tears. "You're staying this time, right? I've told Makoto everything. We can be like before, just like before." I couldn't hold it anymore. Ha 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 ha. I was going to fake some sadness, but I broke character and burst out laughing. Maybe I'd acted so well before that she really thought I'd been standing in place all this time, waiting for her to come back, waiting to be her backup plan. Willow stared at me, confused. I wiped the tears from my laughter and said, "I'm only back because work needs me here. Just a reminder, our divorce certificate will be ready the day after tomorrow. You can come in a wheelchair if that's too difficult. I can even hire a nurse to wheel you in." Willow looked stunned. I walked out without another word. On the official registration day, Willow showed up on time. Even as we were picking up the divorce certificate, she said, "You can still change your mind. It's not too late. We don't have to get divorced." As we walked out of the bureau, she took a deep breath and said, "George, I know I made mistakes, but..." Anna stepped out of the car. Willow stared blankly at the necklace around Anna's neck, then at me, smiling and chatting with Anna. Anna asked, "All done?" I nodded, waved the certificate in my hand, and got into the car. Before we drove off, now that the divorce certificate was finally in my hand, I decided to tell Willow the truth. I said, "Actually, I do regret something." I thought, unlike Makoto, I do regret things a lot. Even though every step I take is calculated, there's no guarantee I won't misjudge. Experience and perspective matter, but I'm the kind of person who regrets and fixes things. Regret isn't a weakness. I said, "I regret marrying you," Someone like you is only good for a fling, not a serious relationship, and definitely not marriage. Willow didn't seem to fully grasp what I said yet. I smiled at her, pleasant, even thankful. Still, I should thank you. If you hadn't cheated, I wouldn't have known how to bring up divorce. Had she not crossed that line, no one would have taken my side. But the conditions for staying in a marriage were never just about not breaking the rules. They say, marriage is a big deal. Not a game. You can't just leave because the love is gone, but precisely because it's a big deal. You can't afford mistakes. I drove off with Anna. In the rearview mirror, Willow tried to do something but fell out of her wheelchair. Later, she came looking for me again, but the security guard at my office turned her away. She yelled that I played her for a fool, but no one believed her. After all, I'm a nice guy. A few years later, I heard she'd gone abroad to find Makoto, caught some kind of illness. After that, no more news. By the way, by then, I had reached a position where I no longer had to press the elevator button myself.